everyone, this is Broforce 5, and welcome to Tide Podcast.
Woo, Tide Pods! Poison for your brain and your ears.
And America's ass.
Oh, yes. I don't think we can make that many references. So I assume...
Can we? We're talking about...
Can this whole Tide Pod America's ass be about Endgame? Like, can we just put a big spoiler warning and talk about nothing but Endgame?
Whoa, hold the phone,
honestly,
hold the phone,
I've considered it, honestly.
It's too early for that still. I mean, we need to wait at least a month, right? Otherwise, Thanos is going to jump down our throats and kill us.
No, that means it's the other way. Ant-Man's going to crawl up our butts and explode us.
Yes.
No, he's going to crawl up our butts and explode Tide Pods.
You just throw an enlarging disc on the Tide Pod. Aw, we deserved that.
I mean, let's face it, any of the actual, like, inside Endgame leaks we know probably came from Tom Holland.
Actually, no. They didn't give Tom Holland any kind of script other than his lines. They didn't even let him interact with anyone else. They only put him in front of a green screen, and that was it.
That's because he's not America's ass. If he was America's ass, he'd be able to keep a secret, but that's one big ass, so I mean...
Yeah, he's a Brooklyn ass.
You know, that makes sense. They're both from Brooklyn.
No, actually, no, he was Queens. Brooklyn was Cap. Queens is Spider-Man.
Oh, you're right.
So you guys both seen it, I assume, since you're making the jokes.
Yeah, we had to pre-order.
I got to see it twice.
Well, I go to a school with the attendance rating set at like 110,000 students, so,
That's true.
And the
I'm
only
still in
movie
Washington.
theater that's not 45 minutes away, like, literally, there were 3 or 4 or 5 lines, and each one had a showtime, and that was just for the people who already bought tickets to wait to get which seats they wanted.
Yeah, like, you weren't getting in without pre-ordering.
Yeah, we had done the same, but a lot of people still bought. I mean, this was me and my fiance went the night before it released, so it was 11 o'clock Thursday night, on the 25th, and people were still going in to actually buy their tickets. Heather and I bought them online, but like the line went around the entire inside of the mall, and it was just like, ooh, I hope some of you are in line for the midnight showing, because you might not make it.
Yeah, that's what we thought. We walked in the first night, and we just were like, backpedaling. We are not going to get our tickets. We couldn't even get seats next to each other. We were lucky to even find a seat, really.
Really? It was that bad?
Yeah.
Well, Heather and I were like, oh, we'll go an hour early, just in case, and that way, if all else fails, we can just, we'll be there, we'll just walk around the mall. We got there. There were like 20 people lined up for the 11 o'clock showing at 10 o'clock already, amidst the 10:30 showing, and it was just like, ooh, we'll just sit in line.
Yeah, we pushed it. We waited until a half an hour before because
we went kayaking.
Yeah, the whole day Liberty was like sponsoring a rec fest, so basically all kinds of sports and recreational activities. I participated in a couple of events. Kevin did too. Kevin got butter legs after riding a cardio bike, and
I probably
did
would
a
too,
plank
man.
challenge, a horse stabilization challenge. I wanted to do the rock wall, but nobody was like manning it. I fought a machine and I won. I broke it.
How did that happen? How did that come about?
Well, my theory is that it wasn't made to support weight of somebody riding on it. It's just supposed to like hit people and knock them over, and I kept trying to jump over it, and then I ended up just like getting slammed by it and getting flown around the side. Like I was just holding on to the side as its motors were trying to push me around, and and then I punched it once just for good measure,
So when the AI takes over the world and the Matrix happens, you're gonna be the first Neo.
I'll be a big old fleshy punching bag.
Or that, one or the other. Either is just as useful. Oh!
I learned a lot of things that my school has that I literally didn't even know. I mean, I knew my school had a lot to offer in terms of, like, not just studies, but stuff to take your mind off of studies and relax. We have, like, a little camping resort where you can, like, camp out, bonfires, sand volleyball. There's, like, a tarp water slide and some kayaking, canoeing, and waterboarding.
That's an absolutely insane amount of things to do. But, I mean, 10,000 kids.
I know. There's also an equestrian center near that and a gun range. And you can actually have guns on campus. You just have to leave them at the PD.
Jeez, dude. We had a table that was okay enough to play orange ball on. I mean, that's what we had for fun.
Actually, I don't know if my school has a pool table.
Really? Of all the things they have.
One of the 500 buildings it has.
It has a bowling alley somewhere. I don't know where that is, though.
Okay, now that's the new orange ball, alright? You gotta have 2 people stand on each side of the lane, grab 2 orange balls, and roll them at each other, and whichever one breaks first loses.
Wow.
There's a good way to get kicked out quick.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to stay a student at this school forever, man. Reap the benefits.
I mean, I wanted to stay at Malone just for the pool table, but not just for the pool table, but
Yeah.
We came up with a game that you could play with kayaks. Kind of basically capture the flag, like with floaty like beach balls and stuff. And, like whoever got the most, the quickest would win. Whatever team got the most.
Yeah, it wasn't like other people must have had the same idea because they weren't actually trying to play a game other than how many can I collect. It wasn't like a team thing or anything, but there was one kayak that had picked up because it was a glow stick kayaking night, so they sent out little like blow up beach balls with glow sticks in them, clear beach balls with glow sticks, and this one dude just had a kayak full of them. He collected every single one, went out to like the far end of the lake and just threw them everywhere.
Just fill it with water and the glow stick and just chuck this 30-pound beach ball at them, and it glowed. They should have seen it coming. I have a concussion and my nose is bleeding. Yeah, don't worry.
You know what you need to insert in this time marker, Avery? You'll never see it coming. You need to insert that, like, right here.
That'd be funny. That'd be perfect. Davis was telling me a story about, apparently one time they went over to his friend's place and they had one of those, like, huge beach balls, like, more than your arm's width around. And they apparently managed to fill it with water. And one of the, they were just trying to lift this thing, and one of the guys was like, hey, go upstairs to the balcony and I'll catch it. So he sits in the pool. They take like 5 or 6 guys to carry the ball up to the balcony, and of course he'll tell this story again way better than I will. But so they're like, "Are you sure about this?" And they're like, "Yeah, man, I can handle it." So they lift this thing over the balcony on the 2nd floor and they chuck it. Hits him right in the face, and he doesn't come up for a solid 2 minutes. And when he does, he's just completely like beat red, like he had just done like 5 body slams into the water, and it was just so bad. Oh, he was in so much pain, but apparently it was totally worth it.
And he probably would have broke his neck.
Yeah, well,
I know.
Gets to the hospital. What happened to you? I got hit in the face with a big wet ball.
Probably wouldn't say it quite like that.
Yeah, probably not.
Man. I just wish I could have seen the splash. I just imagine like anime or nuke style, just exploding the pool. And this little guy. So what else have you guys been up to? Since Kevin, I hear you're hanging out with Clayton down at college there, both at the same place now.
So we've been exploring Virginia.
And how are the wildlands down there?
They are very wooded and at the same time populated. It's quite a conundrum.
I just imagine hippies now.
Stores, but yet they're in the middle of the woods is what it seems. Different.
Oh, so West Virginia, but with Las Vegas.
Like the best, the best way you could describe it is like Washington, like just decimates the woodlands and builds hills and mountains and flattens those out and then builds on that. Virginia tries to keep everything natural. Virginia will like build over and around, and their roads are windy and curvy, and you gotta like brakes will be gone in a month, but they don't like cut down a lot of the trees. They'll like cut down just enough trees to place their shopping centers or buildings, but then it's surrounded by wildlife, by trees and by nature. And then there's really big like farmland hills too, so you get you got a lot of different things going on. But it's like a camper's woodland dream.
Sounds perfect. With a 7-Eleven right down the road.
Or Sheets.
Or Walmart.
Yeah, Sheets. or anything that this town where I'm at needs.
Yeah, actually,
Let's be real.
you know, back there could learn a lot from down here.
Back here could learn a lot. I mean, they're putting in a new McDonald's a mile down from where both of the other McDonald's are.
Like they needed another
it's
one
so
of those.
upsetting. I don't know what they think they're doing. I can't
don't know,
wait to
another
move
place
out.
to give you only pickles.
Yeah.
Or just bread.
Yeah.
We went one time, me and my fiance, because obviously she was, pregnancy brain and whatever, so needed to get her some Cinemelts at 4 in the morning in between watching Genlock, which is amazing. If you haven't seen it, watch it. And, so, we went and got her those, and it was like, 3 in the morning, one person working it, whatever. So, probably just microwaved whatever the food, but by the time we got back to it and, she tried it and everything, it was rock solid. But not because it was frozen cold, because it was overheated in a microwave. Like, if you put something in a microwave so long that it just sticks to everything, it was basically that. It was uneatable. It was just like, how can you mess it up that badly, But that's okay. I hopefully plan to move as soon as possible. Nothing too far, but, sustainable life exists in those places, so. We're surprised to find one of the apartment complexes has a 3-bedroom for the price of a 2-bedroom in some others and offers the same amenities and whatever, so that's pretty neat.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, not bad. Have yet to go and check any of the places out, but some of those places look really nice for, $800 a month. It's not too terrible.
Yeah, that seems to be the standard rate for most apartments nowadays. Also, when you
About
get there,
2
you're
weeks of rent.
probably going to have the same oven and same dishwasher, same washer and dryer and fridge. They all seem to, the last apartment I had
Probably the cheapest.
had the same exact set of everything I have here.
Your apartments were different living style. You weren't like apartment buildings. It was like a long row of housing type of things. These are like typical, you picture, a couple story tall apartment building, but then the inside is nice.
Oh, okay.
It only makes it harder that she has a cat that we have to keep as we move. So
Sorry, you said cat. I had an allergic reaction.
blast your face. Yeah, I know, I mentioned cats and just immediately he's dead. But yeah.
Yeah, Sharon's on the prowl now. I'm not Sharon. Cheryl's on.
So what are some fake things you guys, like your family told you guys as a kid to make you do something? Like, for example, my family always told me that I need to eat the crust of bread because it keeps my hair blonde instead of going super dark or something like that. Like, oh, you ate your crust today, your hair's brighter. Like, what kind of things did your family tell you like that?
I think one that we were all told that I'm pretty sure is a lie is that it's illegal to sit in the back of a car without your seatbelt.
Is it? I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure that's not actually. I thought we looked it up at one point and it wasn't actually. But then again, that law could differ by state. You never know.
I always wear them because, I like to not die. But
I'm sure it's legal, Just let's not buckle the kids in, and then when we wreck, they're just gonna fly through the window like missiles.
yeah, it's perfect. Especially the middle seat. Just up. They've cut me off. Here, I'm gonna sling ya. Wait, what? I'm not ready. Pew!
I mean, think about it though. If you really trust your driver, if you have a really good driver, and it's a really long 6-hour trip, and you have a really comfy back seat, like with your van or something, and one of you or a couple of you want to unbuckle and lay down, actually just lay back, that would be nice. But
I think that's okay. I don't know. I mean, I used to do it anyways, but, kid, I wasn't going to sit up for 6 hours in a car ride. I don't care. That said, there is a good reason why I put seatbelts on when I ride with you, Clayton, so regardless of the laws.
on that note, everyone, you heard it from him first. Amy's a lawbreaker!
Anything, what kind of things did your family tell you, Kev?
Yeah, don't be a liar, because your pants gonna catch fire, right?
Your pants or your parents?
Your That's a new one. Your jeans.
Well, I don't wear jeans, so I guess I can lie as much as I want.
I don't know. That's actually a standard saying, though. It's like when you're really young, I don't remember what I exactly thought about it. It seemed goofy to me. But what if you actually believed it because you were 2 years old and you were able to understand everything?
I mean,
you're
that's kind of what he's talking about, though.
Yeah, if just imagine believing that, right? You're you walk out and you're first of all, you're not going to see any pants on fire, so someone walks up to you and, like, says something stupid like, give me your shoes, I really, really need them, otherwise, you know, my feet are going to fall off or something, and meanwhile they're wearing, like, really nice Nikes or something. It's like, oh, yeah. Like, you're going to say, like, hey, wait, I need to check something. Okay, your pants didn't catch fire, you're good, here's my shoes.
Yeah. So on a similar topic, what did you guys believe? How long did you guys believe in? I don't know what would you even call it? Fairy tale creatures like Santa Claus and Easter Bunny and Tooth Fairy. Not to say that they're fake, because I still 100% believe in them.
They're real.
True story. Yep.
I can tell you when I stopped believing, Avery. You've heard the story. Kevin has, but I don't know if the viewers have. I believed, and I want to still believe, but in Santa Claus and all the other fairy tale beings, up until one winter around Christmas where me and my dad were going to Toys R Us to pick up like what would be a really amazing Christmas gift, actually. One of the ones I'd never forget. It's for more than one reason. Nice, cheap pool table, standard size, I think. And, I was talking to my dad about what some of the kids had said on the school bus, looking for some affirmation that they were wrong, like most kids probably would want. But I asked my dad, I'm like, some kids on the bus, they were saying that Santa isn't real, and he turns to me and he says, oh, so you know.
Just totally let it slip.
You can just see the light in my eyes fade.
Fading slowly and slowly until he became the being of pure dark evil demonicness that he is today. Pure edge.
The celestial demon.
But
exactly. That's when it all began. In that Toys R Us. And now there are none because Clayton could not take the pain anymore.
Yeah, I destroyed each and every one of them slowly and economically from the inside.
No, they didn't need any help with that.
I think the Easter Bunny was actually a different story, but between Santa and the Easter Bunny, I just kind of offed the rest of them in my mind. I was like, well, there's the two important ones. Sorry, Tooth Fairy and whatever else is left. But
is there anything else left other than Easter Bunny and Tooth Fairy? Is there anything else left? Maybe a leprechaun or elf on the shelf?
Yeah, kind of those two, but the Easter Bunny was like, well, actually, I just lumped the Easter Bunny. I lumped everything in with Santa. As soon as I found out about Santa, I offed the rest in my mind, agreed that they weren't, but like, my parents, I had gotten this, saved a little bunny off the road. Like, we were driving by and it was like kind of limping, sort of like injured in the middle of the road, just sitting there. So I wanted to save it. We ended up taking it home, keeping it in the bathtub, trying to feed it and nurse it to health. And the next morning, the tub was empty, and I was like, oh, I was like really sad. But then I found a note, and it was like, my parents went through pretty good lengths on this occasion to make it seem legit, but they took 2 pieces of paper, so it looked like, somebody couldn't feel the pages, how many there were, and they wrote a note saying, oh, I'm the Easter Bunny, you found one of my missing children, one of my lost children, and I must take it home. I must take it back with me. And I bought it, too. I bought it, hook, line, and sinker.
Aw, that's so adorable. I just imagine little Clayton waking up Easter morning like, aw, his little baby came and laid me eggs.
Yeah, my parents' pants were charred that day, like,
yeah,
smoking.
At least they weren't like, oh yeah, he died. Easter Bunny's not coming this year. Could have been a lot worse. Opens up his Easter eggs next year. Oh, there's a rabbit's foot in here. These are supposed to be lucky, right? And it's like, oh, you shouldn't have found that, son. That's not an Easter egg for you. Just like, oh, little Jerry. Or Peter Cottontail. I don't know. I don't think I ever had a moment when I stopped believing. I just think I just kind of gradually was like, I really don't care now. I still get presents. I don't care about Santa. But I agree. I think that, when Santa goes, everything else goes for most kids. It's just like, Santa doesn't exist. I've given up on the rest of them.
Yeah, I don't know many kids that actually favor the others over Santa or care as much about the others as Santa. And I have to say this, though. This is a follow-up question to your question. How many out of the three of us did you take it easier once you knew who was Santa, or did you, like, milk it even further at that point?
Well, like I said, I don't remember any point when I just knew, so I probably just, like, slowly faded, and I think my parents just kind of got used to me not caring. So I don't think it was any, like, you know, ooh, I know they're Santa, so I'll just keep milking it, and the better I am, the more they'll get me. I don't think I did anything like that, but, you know, I'd still play along, because, like, my little brother, Evan, obviously wouldn't have known by then, so I would, like, you know, play it up and, like, ooh, Santa came, and whatever, but, you know, I never did anything for personal gain. I was just a good older brother. And look how he turned out now. I can't even. What about you, Kevin?
For me, like, when I was, like, I don't know, 10 or somewhere around in there, I was hearing it on the bus and stuff, and I just think it was like, no, you're wrong, he's real. I'm like, yes, your parents might buy you some presents, because, you know, the parents, they care about you, but Santa brings you some of them, too. Not all of them are from your parents.
Yeah, right. I agreed on that wholeheartedly. Did you ever just kind of, did someone tell you to stop believing, or did you just kind of slowly stop believing? And like,
I just kind of slowly realized that, like, whatever I didn't tell my parents and, like, just, like, wrote on a note and then threw away, I never got. So I kind of figured out on my own that, well, if I just say, hey, Santa, to the air, can I have this? Well, it didn't happen, so I'm like, oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah. I guess we kind of got let down a lot easier than a lot of this, like, the horror stories you hear of parenting. So then how do you guys feel about, you know, when you eventually grow up and have kids of your own and families and whatever, how do you feel about, you know, telling your kid about Santa and whatever? How do you feel about letting them believe in all that?
I mean, I want to help them have a nice childhood and believe as long as what I consider to be a pretty healthy age. But, I mean, at some point, I feel like it's actually the nice thing to let them know, or to let them realize that what the other kids are saying is true, or even try to, like, right around that time do it before the others can, because then you reach into a realm where if they don't know and they try to keep, like, expressing it openly, oh my gosh, they probably would get made fun of, or, like, I mean, if there's definitely an age, I think, where there should be a cutoff, though, because, I mean, once you become an adult, if you actually genuinely still believe, I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing into it. I think that's a really great thing. I want to give that to my kids, and I think it's cool if you actually have grandparents. I don't have grandparents, and I think it'd be cool, though, for someone like you. I don't know if you've ever had a situation like this happen, but if you have grandparents on your side, you can pull it off a lot easier, I think. You could actually have, like, your grandpa or somebody dress up as Santa and come with presents, at least at a very young age. The kid would probably never know. And
like, we had a family member come and do that oftentimes till he got ill and he couldn't make it anymore. And, you know, they'd just, like, gotta go to the bathroom. And someone ran out and rang the doorbell. And, like, Santa used the doorbell because we didn't have a chimney. Yay! It was just, you know, same difference. But, you know, yeah, putting on the little act it always adds a nice, you know, fantastical flair, because, like, oh, there is some proof, but then you get older and it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty easy to explain.
Yeah, and I like some of the other traditions that the kids and their parents do together, like baking cookies for Santa, because that's kind of like a reward. You get to eat those later.
Oh yeah, mine. For me, Santa's gonna be a little bit gluten-free. He, you know, gotta lay back on the sugar and the yeast and all that, so, you know, Santa's gonna be a celiac Santa in our house.
You guys could just, like, cut out some cardboard cookies and marker them in.
Have fun eating cardboard.
I remember we used to get that stuff from, like, from school. I don't know if you guys... Kevin, you probably remember that, because we went to the same elementary, but they, you know, around Christmas time, they'd hand you a bag of, like, I don't know, sawdust and maybe glitter, and, like, you throw it out on the lawn, and it's, you know, it makes the reindeer happy and come and eat grass in the lawn or whatever. And, I mean, I remember I was always so happy to do that. And then always snowed, so, you know.
Like, you're throwing fucking
Glitter?
glitter on our lawn.
Yeah, mine was pretty bad. I think my school did full-on just bags of glitter, man. I used to actually want to go up and put it on the roof. Like, I'd have my dad get out a step ladder and we'd put it on the roof of the house.
Just, 10 years later, hey son, go clean out the gutters. Why are the gutters so sparkly? You remember Santa? Oh yeah. Sorry. What about you, Kev? You plan on letting your kids in on the phantasmicalness?
Probably. I mean, I think I want to make it so it eventually leads into just like the spirit of Santa, like the spirit of like bringing joy to others and prosperity and stuff.
Yeah, like telling them like the mythical man doesn't come down and bring presents, but the spirit of giving and joy and all the life and Christmas or whatever is probably fine to keep on.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll do like something where the mythical man helps out at first, like for the first few years, and then he just helps get it kickstarted to help like show like the kid the joy of it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about it now, I'm still excited when Christmas comes around, and never mind, sorry, I totally believe in Santa. Either way, I'm still completely excited for whenever Christmas comes around, so it's like, whether you tell them there's no Santa, there's still some magic in, getting to wake up and enjoy the time spent with family and whatever. So, man, I don't know, man. I see, you see videos on Facebook, like America's Funniest Home Videos or something, where, there's Christmas failures or whatever, they're like Santa fails or whatever, like the beard gets pulled down in a mall Santa and the kids are screaming and crying or whatever.
My dad did that once.
Did he? Oh, yeah,
he actually, I think it was his brothers, my uncles, egging on an idea to tell my dad that, hey, you should pull Santa's beard, and he did it. He pulled the thing clean off.
That's so sad, but so funny for every other adult that didn't have a kid there that day. But yeah, but then you go in the comment sections of those videos and you see parents that are just so stuck up about it, and it's just like, well, I'm never gonna tell my kid Santa exists. I'm not lying to my kid. That's just setting them up to not trust you. I'm like, what? Okay, so are you going to completely ignore the saying that all kids say in their school about like, oh, step on a crack, you break your mother's back? It's like, that's not allowed to happen. That does not happen. You go tell them that logic exists. And it's just like, I think like it's a mix between helicopter parenting so hard that you want the best for them, but for a relationship with you as a parent, and then a mix of like you just want to control their lives. Like there's not like telling a kid that Santa exists isn't exactly going to, destroy their trust in you. I don't know why, parents are like, if I lie to my kid about one thing, ooh, they're gonna hate me forever. Like, when your kid asks where babies come from and when death comes. Yeah, when kids ask where babies come from and about death and whatever, I mean, you're not just gonna be like, hey, what happened to Guppy, my little goldfish? And it's just like, oh yeah, he died. I flushed him down the toilet for you. Don't worry, we'll go get you a new one. Like, what's death? And it's just like, oh, son, don't worry about it. I'm gonna die. You're gonna die. We're all gonna die. You're gonna have to live without me. And it's just like, there are way better ways of handling this than never lying to your kid. Lying is, essential in many cases.
Someone's dad that I know did that. I'm not gonna say whose dad or whatnot. The kid didn't like it at all once he was always scared of death, pretty much. Like, it terrified him when he was young.
Yeah, there's some things you gotta let a kid believe and you gotta lie to a kid about, I mean, and there are people, I'm not completely crapping on the idea of, there are good legit reasons for not wanting your kid to believe in that, like some parents can't afford to get a lot of things, and so they want the kid to know that everything's coming from them because they love them or whatever, rather than some man in the sky that does all the work or whatever. So like things like that I can understand, but the whole like, oh, if I lie to my kid once, it's just, oh man.
You want to, like, kind of, not isolate, but, like, have hope and joy for the kids so that they have dreams and wishes and stuff. And I know a lot of those dreams sadly get broken, but in some way something still comes of it. They still have hope or desire to do something in the end. And you have to try to give them the joy of things, because in the end, Santa does exist. It's just the idea of Santa and bringing joy and stuff. It's not like a physical entity.
I mean, you can't take creativity and imagination and joy from a kid, or, how much harder it is to teach an adult things these days, especially. And I mean, to bring someone joy who's, never really been allowed to have joy, everything has to be practical. I mean, that's like the hardest thing in the world, and it's just sad. Not that those people can't lead good lives.
The brain, when it's young, is a lot more adaptable and it absorbs stuff. So you have to show it joy like 80% of the time, and then the other 20% show it a little bit, just a sneak peek teaser like we did the Avengers today of real life. Just so it understands that not everything is yay! Yeah. But also so that it understands there is, like, joy in the world. And you overdo the joy a little bit, I feel, because it will slowly be beaten out of the child by society.
That's just how it is, yeah.
The world's kind of meant to begin with. So if you don't do a little bit more showing of joy, I don't say baby the kid, but you need to kind of like provide extra access of it so that when they realize, and when I say realize, I don't mean when they're 20. Like by the time they're 12, 14, maybe even 10, you should start to ease them into it a little bit. So by the time they're 16, 17, they realize kind of more what the world is, but maybe not understand. Like they know, but they don't understand it yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the big thing then is like, while you gotta let them experience joy, but you gotta teach them the application of joy. Like you can't always be happy. Sometimes you gotta be serious. You gotta calm down. I mean, going to a funeral, people are happy. They have good memories. They're sharing memories with people. They're enjoying company of people they may not have seen in a while. A lot of funerals for people I've been to are, mini parties and get-togethers, family reunions, like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while, it's good to see you again, But, like, it's not just unchecked joy, you're not, well, hopefully you're not, but, you're not going out and just getting hammered and just like, hey, sorry we can't be here, man, and just, but, like,
Yeah.
But a lot of it comes down to teaching them the application of that. Clayton, what are your inputs on this? You've been quiet.
Well, I mean, my life up until now had kind of been sparse moments of, like, both being shown the reality, being shown the fear of what my parents perceived reality to be or what their reality was, but then also intermittent periods of joy being shown to me by people outside of family, and you see through observation, see people's lives that are like really messed up, and you also, either because they did it to themselves or society did it to them or something happened to them, either them being an aggressor or being a victim, and then you also see people who live life and are joyful and sometimes seem too happy to be true, but you also see people who kind of have a balance. And my parents didn't really give me a lot of ideology or teach me a lot about how I should be, air quotes, but they kind of, I don't know, they pumped me full of knowledge, or at least as much as they could before the school got too smart for them. They tried to give me as much knowledge as they could and tried to tell me that school was important, and up until like middle school I took that very seriously. I put my schoolwork above anything else, including having friends, and then middle school got you guys. And then around middle school and forward I started to kind of learn what real happiness was and what real joy was. I mean, also as a kid though, I had plenty of experiences like that as well, just at home. And I was starting to learn how to get it from society and from people that you aren't related to, that isn't just going to be handed to you. But I think it's a matter of teaching the kid facts, teaching them reality, but also teaching them balance, showing them joy. It's probably balance and adaptation is the two greatest things you could give to a kid. The ability to show them the truths of life, but also show them how to have fun while living in that truth.
Here's a kind of a topic that probably actually gets a lot of, well, at least it used to get a lot of discussion. I don't know how much people mention it anymore because everyone has a phone nowadays, but like people, you go out in restaurants and you see people on their phones, whether it's a group of young kids or, parents and a kid or whatever going out, and, you see a couple of them on their phones or whatever. is it really so bad that people are using their phones in public so often, like if they're out in a group? I mean, not just, they're not just texting other people, but, you can't see what they're doing. Maybe they're playing a game together, like we went out to Winsex and played Pokemon Go. I know we're nerds. And, sometimes we'll go out and Heather will just take Snapchats of me eating because she likes the funny faces I make when I'm caught off guard, Like, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think that the big deal that people are making out of, people always being on their phones is such a big deal. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I actually, for school, had to write a post about that very topic recently. Not necessarily just people and their phones, but people and being glued to it, almost obsessed or addicted to that level. And I kind of distinguished a balance. I said I feel like it's okay, given certain circumstances like you were mentioning, like people using them productively or to interact with each other or like socially, but they're actually doing something, versus like the people that are either, like they just can't put the phone down and actually,
like they're psychologically
they're with people, but
willfully
they're not
hooked to
with
it.
people in spirit. They're actually like somewhere else talking to somebody else, ignoring the group, or the people that pull their phone out as an excuse to not talk to other people. Like, you can clearly look over and see, like, maybe there are one or two people are alone and they pull out their phone and look down at it, and you glance over and there's nothing on the phone. They're just doing it so they have a way to look away and dissociate from reality. Or
Oh yeah, I'm not forgiving like every instance of someone having a phone out, because there are obviously problems with addiction. I will not deny, addiction to phones, but I don't think it's as big of an issue. People made it so big of an issue that you see someone with a phone, it's like, those millennials, as they pull out their flip phone or whatever and play Tetris on it, or And I know that's just as bad of a stigma, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I believe that as long as you aren't trying to virtually ditch somebody by using your phone to isolate yourself from the company of the people you're with, because you're like, oh, these people are a drag. If you think they're a drag, you probably shouldn't even. You just
shouldn't be hanging out, if you can avoid it. If it's family, you're stuck. Sorry for your loss. I mean, I know, whenever I hang out with my family, a lot of times if we get, if someone's talking about a job that they're in or something, it's like, oh, here's politics or whatever, and I'm not interested, I'll pull out my phone and I'll scroll things. But usually after, an hour or two of all of us hanging out together, we'll all be scrolling on our phones and we'll just show each other memes. We'll just, pass our phones around the table like, oh, here's a good meme, and we'll all just laugh together. Bless you.
Sorry, I'm confirmed now allergic to memes. Sorry.
Oh, man. Now we have to delete the entire second episode of the podcast. That's all we did was talk about memes.
See, I'm not offended by it really when it's my family, because I get that, A, we're together for, but, we're family, care about each other, but, we aren't going to have the same interests, so maybe that person's just not interested in what I am. I mean, It's not like we're hanging out because we have the same interests and stuff, or, we care about each other, but yet it's still, they aren't, my friend group isn't necessarily going to be their friend group type of thing. Yeah.
And that's not to say it's, it's terrible to have conversation, but, I can't talk about, the latest Minecraft update, which we should talk about, by the way. I can't talk about that with my mother, who doesn't play video games or anything like that, so it's just, difference in conversation with, the news you keep up with and whatever and all that, so it's I can understand dissociating yourself with a phone if you have nothing to do in a social situation like that, but, if you're doing it because you don't want to be there, you should just not be there if you can help it.
Yeah, and as long as that... when it's with your family, they aren't trying to talk to you about it. Alonzo, it's like your aunt and your uncle are talking, and then it's at the dinner table, and it's like, well, okay, I don't have any clue about this.
Yeah, if you're addressed, you should definitely put it down. I mean, that's just a social respect thing. That shouldn't even be. That shouldn't
even be a thing you have to say here. That should be already social sense.
And then another thing I hear people are complain about all the time is you go to a doctor's office and you're in the waiting room for a half hour because doctors, and you're sitting there on your phone because you have no one to talk to, nothing to do, and people complain because you're sitting there these millennials just can't get off their phones. I'm like, I have a video game on my tiny little device here that I can play for that next half hour, or I can stare out the window like you. I can find that interesting speck of paint on the wall that got chipped, or I can play an engaging video game. If I have the capability to do that, I'm gonna pick the video game, you know? It's just like, some of them are kind of obvious, and it's just upsetting to see that the stigma has grown so big against phones, where it's just like, ugh, you better not have that out whenever you're around someone that you don't know 100 feet away from you. It's just like, ah, man.
Well, since we haven't said anything about Endgame that's been too overly specific, but we still all saw it and want to talk about it. I mean, I feel like we'll have an entire episode dedicated maybe to that. I don't think people could get mad, because when you label a video as spoilers, if they click on it, it's their fault. It's your fault. You clicked on it. You didn't want spoilers, don't watch it. If you want to support our channel, though, you'll watch it and you'll enjoy it. We're the Tide Podcast, but I feel like during Endgame, we should totally do the spin-off version. We should do America's Ass.
I like it.
The Americans Ass Cast.
I like it so much.
Or like an ass hat.
Yes, you are.
Hey.
Alright, so, everyone, since you've obviously managed to survive to this point, congratulations once again. It's about time for us to head out for this podcast, but stay tuned for the future, where we will most likely cover our new thoughts on Minecraft 1.14, the new release that just came out a few days ago, as well as a new possible Minecraft series coming to Broforce 5, and maybe even a spoiler podcast on Endgame itself. If you watch with your own discretion, we're not at liberty, we're not responsible for your idiotic choices if you're not prepared to lose the last decade of your life to the Tide Podcast. Come on, it's in the name.
Bye-bye.
Oh, okay, bye.